Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for being with us today. For those of you who are joining us for a second time, welcome back. Uh, we have, with great pleasure, Mike with us today and Simply Shenandoah. Really exciting how things have evolved since we last spoke. Lots of updates. Just to be clear, we can't see or hear you. We know you're there, but we encourage you to put your questions in the chat box or the Q&A. And we have a lot of people coming on today. We'll get to as many as possible. Today's our official pitch day, meaning we're going to go through the details of the opportunity. And again, please feel free to post your questions as they come to mind. If we don't get to them right away, we'll do our best to get to them as soon as possible. I also want to mention that we've decided, because there's a few people that have very keen interest in this project, to take a trip down, and Mike's going to host us. All you have to do is get yourself there. So if you are a serious investor in this sort of thing, let us know, and we can chat about perhaps having you as a guest down to Simply Shenandoah's property, and also stay at a place that is super cool to get into the weeds about the project as well. And it's just 70 minutes outside of DC. Dulles is not far, and there's a private airport close by as well. So if that's of interest, just be sure to ping me and we'll see if we can't arrange that for you. So we have several guests on, including Mike today, and you'll see who they are here in a minute. And so, like I said, if you have questions, please post them. Also, if after hearing what you hear today, there are others that you know that might be interested in this sort of opportunity and are keen in as an investor, would be certainly welcoming those connections if you care to provide them. We're going to be going through the pitch today, so we should be able to cover a lot of the questions that you might otherwise have, and get into the details for you here. Again, thank you all for, again, sharing your time, and the Family Office Insights community for participating as you often do. So with that, Mike, thanks for being here again. Excited to hear more. Take it away.
All right. Thank you. Let me throw up the slide show. Can you see that okay?
Oh, now it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Simply Shenandoah, and we're going to start off by providing an overview of the chronic condition vortex that's dominating our collective health and really the self-care revolution that's responding. And then our role as part of what I think is a cultural movement, developing a wellness resort that's focused on transformation. We're really reimagining recreation as recreation and integrating that into a vacation construct. It's a way to have fun while transforming at different stages of our life into the fullest expression of who we are meant to be at that moment. So we can go out in the world and do great things. So thank you for joining us. Super excited, and let's jump into it. I'll start off first by introducing the project sponsor, and that includes our speakers for today. I'm the founder and day-to-day executive who's managing the project's development. A couple of weeks ago, Arthur, when we spoke, I gave more detail on my background, but I'll just summarize now and say that I have literally woken up every day for the last 6 years and focused on this one project. We're focused on one project only, unlike most developers, and I'm fully invested, energized, and driven to develop this amazing space because of how transformation impacted my life, impacted my family's life, and everyone who has joined the sponsorship group could say the same thing. So we're super driven by how we think this could help society at large as an acupuncture point, as well as the amazing business potential. I also want to give a nod to the fact that I was given this vision on March 16th, 2018 by a young angel named Santiago. He passed away from brain cancer less than 2 years after that in 2020. And he was followed by two others who also greatly impacted the project's vision and had brain conditions. At the same time, when I was 20, I had a traumatic brain injury that was the exact same as one of these three people. And so I survived. This spiritual triad that I just mentioned sort of keeps me elevated, keeps me moving in the right direction, and keeps me grateful for every day. So I just wanted to mention that up front. My co-GP is a guy named Ron Carson. So let me ask Alex Lawler, who's his lead operating partner from his family office, to introduce Ron.
Thanks, Mike. Ron is the founder and CEO of Carson Group, which is a financial advisory firm headquartered in Omaha, Nebraska. They're on the leading edge of wealth management. They've grown considerably over the years and recently received an investment from Bain Capital, valuing the company at over $1 billion a couple of years ago. Ron's been on a conscious capitalism journey for a number of years, and when he met Mike and saw the property, he just lit up. So he's decided to try to create this vision and help bring Mike's vision to life. So we're really excited about it.
Thanks, Alex. And then rather than create the operations and management from scratch, we created a joint venture with an existing group. And Adam is here to represent them as a president within PM Hotel Group, and I'll let him introduce their firm.
Hi, my name's Adam. As Mike said, I am the president of PM Hotel Group. PM Hotel Group manages approximately 70 hotels throughout the United States. I think that makes us the 13th largest management company, hotel management company in the United States. And really for us, it is when your personal quest and your professional kind of business can intersect with each other, it's kind of a home run. And when you look at the returns that this project are going to generate, and you kind of spend some time with Mike and get to understand his purpose and this project, it's something that the company just really got behind. It's the largest single investment we've ever made, and very confident. As we're local, we understand the need that this project will fill. So super excited to be a part of this project.
Thank you, Adam. I can't say enough good things about Buccini Poland, which is their development arm, and PM Hotel Group. They've been a great partner so far. And then finally, we have 20 other amazing people that are also part of the sponsoring team. Collectively, we've put in 14 and committed $19 million. So typically, a sponsoring group is 5 to 10% of the equity on a project. We're over 30%. So it just sort of shows you the commitment that we have. So let me jump into the big picture for one slide and talk about the chronic condition vortex that I mentioned earlier. And first, with the definition, chronic conditions affect multiple parts of ourselves at the same time. They last for more than a year, and they encompass both mental and physical health. So in 1985, 11% of the country had a chronic condition. There was a big shift that started in the late 80s. And by 2005, that number was 56%. So you look at the curve, you look at the long-term trend, and it's like, whoa. And then it sort of levels off again, but we're over, depending on exactly how you measure it, 65 to 75% of the country now. And so people can argue with the details of the exact measurement, but like the change is too dramatic to ignore. And you know, when I look back at when I was 15 and you look at things that are not debatable in terms of obesity and how many suicides and addictions, you know, autism's up by 300 times. Alzheimer's wasn't something that everyone was talking about when I was 15. Diabetes, these things were not as prevalent. Arthritis, autoimmune disease, certain types of cancers, allergies, hypertension. So we now know that we've kind of collectively undergone this great societal experiment. The amount of change in the last 50 years is stunning. And that experiment has had some amazing benefits sort of on one hand, but on the other hand, as it relates to our overall health, it's been a big failure. And the reason is not genetics, right? It has to do with science is showing that there's, you know, no silver bullet, but it has to do with what inherently is each individual's journey through trauma, through chronic stress, through various environmental factors, various lifestyle factors, and behavioral choices. These are the fundamental things that are all within our control, and there are patterns and there are causal factors that are affecting 80% of us that are now proven sort of to be the underlying drivers that we can address. So how do we bend this curve back? The traditional healthcare system and pharma, reactive and sick oriented, it's not only not going to solve the problem, it's actually part of the problem. And the reason I put such a beautiful picture on this slide that's uplifting is that we now have a parallel self-care paradigm that's emerged. It's proactive, it's holistic, it's durable, and it's one hell of a ride. It's a beautiful place to be. It's filled with agency and reciprocity, and it's the only way to lift ourselves out of this vortex. So it's exciting to take the power back into our own hands. And when we have the right education and awareness combined with the right tools, we can do amazing things. So the self-care revolution that's all around us is in the numbers now. 80% of people, of consumers, are basically saying that wellness is a top or very high priority. And the impact on the hospitality industry is that there's an increasing focus on itineraries that are built around the mind and the body, in addition to where you're visiting. And by the way, given how crowded the airplanes are, I'm not as keen to just jump and take 4-day weekends in an exotic location. COVID brought people sort of back home. Secondly, wellness tourism has now become the hottest subsector in hospitality. It's been growing. It's been growing at the mid-teens % and should exceed $1 trillion later this decade. So the destination spa industry, which is part of the hospitality sector that's addressing this, demand has been growing substantially. And there's even a subsector called transformational travel. That is what our focus is, that empowers people to take meaningful, lasting change. It's a new philosophy. It connects travelers to their truest self and to others. And ultimately, it creates a sense of connection and fulfillment. So we are entering this space where supply has not really met demand. So this is an older chart, but when we look at how we compare against Europe, we see that we're about 40% per capita in terms of the penetration of destination spas versus what we have here. And maybe Adam, if you could just comment on what's happened with hospitality development. I mentioned Buccini Poland developed 30 hotels in the last 15 or 20 years. What's been going on with the development of new hospitality projects?
Yeah, so historically, supply grows at 2.2%. The forecasted supply growth for the next 5 years within the United States is 0.8%. Wow. Right? So demand is increasing, supply is decreasing, which is, the exact thing you want if you want to be able to invest in a project and push rates. And so obviously the capital markets have put a governor on new development, and that's where, an opportunity is created, and that's what we have here.
And I think on top of that, you also have the fact that there are huge barriers to entry, because a wellness resort by definition is always going to be in a beautiful natural environment. So you get like all these factors coming together. We're going to be opening up at a time when demand will be peaking, and there's really, very little new supply that's entering the market. So thank you for that. So this is what we're building. It's just 90 minutes from DC. It's on 640 acres of forested land. Arthur, help me understand that that's actually a square mile, exactly a square mile.
Yeah, that's a square mile. Thanks to my friends. Yeah.
Yeah. We have 1,000 feet of elevation. We own up to the peak of a small mountain. We have valleys, we have streams. And so, Alex, maybe can you quickly comment on Ron's perspective when he came to visit the site and decided to lock in his commitment to the project?
No, I'd love to. As I mentioned, Ron's a Nebraska native, and there's the topography change in Nebraska's leaves a little bit to be desired. So Ron, and he's a big outdoorsman, so he gets out, to all parts of the world and to explore and to be outside and be in nature. And when he visited this site, his comments were, I could never have dreamed that something that beautiful was that close to a major metro. It's extremely close to the DC, Baltimore. You've got several major metros there. It was extremely easy to get to, and he fell in love with it. And he said, this is regardless of how I participate, I need to participate in this project because it's beautiful, especially when you overlay Mike's vision and what the architects have done to maintain the integrity of the site and really integrate it with. And you see a lot of it in the renderings and the pictures. But he said they don't even do them justice. So I know Arthur mentioned at the top, but if you are interested, I do suggest you take a visit to the site. It's quite a spectacular place.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you don't mind for 1 second, we talked that beautiful picture with the delta between 1985 and 2005 or whatever the day was.
Yep.
This at one time, your friend that was a little kooky and out there and made funny comments and was often dismissed as being a little nutty because they were taking care of themselves, is now become like they actually knew what the hell they were doing.
Right.
And so the idea that this is far out there it's not that far out there. It actually has been empirically demonstrated that this stuff works. So I just wanted to mention that it's not something that has been just a handful of people that have experienced it have said, oh my God, you should try this at work. There's more and more corpus to represent that this sort of thing is really important, not just for each individual person, but for humanity.
100%. And there's this great quote I heard. It's from someone. It says, the future is all around us. Some of us just see it sooner than others, right? We're not, this is not magical. We're building on an existing industry. It's the right time. People are ready for it. There's a huge difference in perspective post-COVID. So it's clear and obvious that we need a whole self-care system that mirrors the healthcare system, and they work together sort of hand in hand. And the self-care system involves doing things on a daily, weekly, and then every 6 to 12 months. And it's the 6 to 12 months part that we fit. That's where you take yourself out of the rat race and into a space where you can really, heal and expand. All right, so let me jump into where we are. Where we see ourselves as residing at the intersection of vacation and transformation. We think there's a ton of ownable white space. There's like 10 spas in this country our size. There's 5,000 places you can spend a night and go play golf. There's 500 places you can spend a night and go skiing. And so it's just a massive disconnect. And the key is that we are able to see each guest individually because there are no silver bullets, and co-create with them a personalized itinerary that suits their interests and intention at that stage of their life, because people's interests change. Then we'll work with an amazing team of practitioners who are harmonized with nature and plants and Mother Earth, the latest and greatest technologies, holistic practices, to create personalized pathways that impact the planet. I came from the hedge fund world where I made a lot of money. I'm not doing this just to make money and not have it be something that activates humanity to address whatever their passion is, right? But it's not just a place to go and get pampered and then 2 weeks later you're the same old. It's a place to go and you get activated, you get recharged. There's something that allows you to step into yourself. So I'll talk through just the site a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about sort of how we think about offering the services, and then some numbers, and then we'll wrap up. So this is the master plan for just the northern 275 acres, keeping in mind we have 650. And so you can see, hopefully you can see my cursor. This is the main campus. Can you see my cursor, Arthur? Okay. This is the guest entrance where one would drive up, drop off their car. The car then gets taken over here to the parking lot in the back of house building. And this area here is the only asphalt on the entire property that is for the first, non-car hospitality space. There'll be bikes, there'll be walking paths, there'll be life safety enabled, there'll be carts, but it's really embedded in the woods. You then walk across this bridge of intention where you have the opportunity to establish why you're coming or when you're leaving, what you accomplished as you left. And we actually put a video podcast studio in the arrival center so people can record themselves. I think that's going to be magical, and it's a great part of the healing process. And then we have the buildings I'll walk through here, the main campus, and then we have 6 guest lodges plus 4 tree houses. And then on the other side of the property, we have 18 rooms that are really off on their own for a CEO to come with a small group of people, for a large family to come and really want to have some privacy, for a shaman to come and do some of their work. So we have 120 rooms. We have 10 villas that can each offer 2 rooms each that are on the mountain on the other side. And so we'll walk through some of the specific buildings coming up. These are the lodges. They're embedded in the forest. The architecture is a modern vernacular. It blends the inside and the outside world. Every room has a deck overlooking a valley. There are no TVs in the room. It's really going to be a place of respite, a place of relaxation. Here's our food and beverage building, where we have an indoor-outdoor marketplace. We'll have a juice and grab and go area to get food, a high energy space. We have a wine and wisdom bar. We have a place to meet for experiences. And then we have fine dining facilities and this deck right here that overlooks this valley, and also where the sun will be setting every day. This is our meeting space. It's designed to bring together different perspectives. The actual architecture itself is like a funnel with a big courtyard in the middle, and you can imagine bringing in different energies and aligning them, creating trust and empathy. Focus on our common goals, not our differences, and we're going to have these amazing partnerships with change management specialists who are looking to innovate and paradigm shift and move ecosystems forward. I'm just so excited to have folks in the district and the political machine coming out here. This is our fitness and yoga and sound studio. This is our spa with 20 treatment rooms. I think this will become one of the most famous buildings on the East Coast, to be honest, and it's because lives will be changing. The views from the main part of the building, which is where we have a hydro and thermal circuits, like are now popping up in various cities, that, right here, and people will be coming out of great experiences, and then you get this tremendous view. This is Little North Mountain right here. We own to the top of that. The other side of that is 81, the major highway, but we don't get the sound because of the mountain. And people will create memories that will last a lifetime, and then it's going to get imprinted by this view. I can't say enough about our architects. We have Marlon Blackwell, who won the 2019 Gold Medal Award for the country, the sort of best picture analog. Olson Kundig is one of the most famous architects globally right now. They've done amazing work. We have Cloda's doing our interior design. She's had 3 in the last 5 years. She's had 3 documentaries done on her BBC, and like real documentaries. Cohen and Partners, just amazing group of folks to do the landscape for us. So this is another view from that spa building. And then this is on the right side that's facing where the sun will be setting. And these are some of the, this is Luxury Frontiers, has done our tree houses, and we're doing 4. We may add more in the future. And so I'll talk about the how just very, very briefly. the key thing is to connect to the guest and what transition they're going through. We're going to be a place where people go when they are going through change, right? And for some of us, you like to think about doing that every year. Like my family and a lot of our friends, you take your ski vacations, your beach vacations, and you take your wellness vacation. But there's also different times in our life where it's great to get educated and go to a place where you can have experiential knowledge. And so I put up what we believe are the major intentions that we'll be able to address. Recovery, that's both from trauma, which is my personal passion, why I'm here actually, as well as injury, because there's an amazing partnership we're developing, leading stem cell infusions that is just incredible. Relationships with your spouse, right? Career, it's a big transition. Your body and longevity, sort of interrelated, tends to be a very specific protocol you'll use for that. Rites of passage. So we're going to have, this is adults only, but a couple times a year, we'll have the ability to come in with your teenagers, and we'll develop special programs for parents and their teenagers. But also other times, like for example, when you become an empty nester, right? And so there'll be these specific times that we target and develop programming just for that. Spiritual exploration, grief, loss. Motherhood is going to be one of our pillars. We have an amazing partnership on that front. Some of the leading institutions of the world have come out with a protocol for pregnancy. The number one way you can impact the future is that second trimester. What happens during that second trimester affects the baby for the rest of their life. They're finding this origin theory of science, and it's tremendous. And so in other parts of the world, they have these prenatal and just when you're born and the 2 years after. Like, why do we have this spike in problems for women in the first 2 years after their child are born? And so we're really going to lean into that, as well as menopause, and then to recharge and to celebrate. Things are still fun. And then similarly for enterprises and ecosystems, we're going to have a very strong group program and have specialized facilitators that we partner with from the district, Beltway scenario, a bunch of different groups that are just waiting for us to open so they can start bringing, especially with the Zoom world and not as many offices, they want to bring people to a place where they can really connect and spend some time in meeting rooms doing PowerPoints, but also spend other times doing experiences that really bind you together. And by the way, create the opportunity for innovation. You never get an innovative thought. You never solve a problem in a linear way sitting behind a computer.
Hey,
That's
man.
not,
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't happen. And there's science behind that. So, and then we'll maintain connection before and after they leave with this. We'll have a digital platform and a media platform. So talking to some great groups about that, and we'll lock in when we're ready, but we'll have over 100 practitioners. So we'll enable a gold mine of wisdom so guests can stay connected to some of the people they really enjoyed. We're going to have guest video blogs. I mentioned that in the Arrival Center. So we'll allow people to publish their own stories. And when you think about the tens of thousands of people that come through every year, we're going to have, an extraordinary amount of stories that will be available for people that opt into that. And then collectives, we're going to, really peer-to-peer and community for people that are birds of a feather, for example, someone else who's going through a traumatic brain injury and recovering from that, so having folks actually counsel each other and walk forward together is, there's DoD studies that prove the effectiveness of that. So super excited for that.
So Mike, this might be a good place to take a question. Will specific weeks be blocked off for guests with similar intentions? For example, week for women going through menopause, that sort of thing?
Exactly. That is 100%. There's certain things that will be offered throughout the year, but then there's also going to be certain times where we really focus in on the specific intentions. And so we'll become the place to go. And by the way, those will be aligned with the seasons. One of the beautiful things about the Shenandoah Valley is we have 4 amazing seasons. None of them individually are overwhelming. And they're all, beautiful in different ways. And so, and then we also look at peak travel times for vacations, and we look at, how, what our expectations are for usage, and we'll layer things in that will drive traffic, but be really meaningful for the guests.
I wanted to mention, we didn't send it, but we can. There really is an amazing video that you created that I don't remember whether you told me that the people in that video are likely to be involved once you're up and running, but they definitely had meaningful comments as it relates to the intention of this project. So we'll share that with you if that's okay with you, Mike. We'll share it. Yep. But it was really, really spoke to what the expectation is for the experience there.
Yeah, thank you. Some of those people are investors, and some of them are going to be future practitioners. So we blended a little bit of both. Okay, so think about us as having 11 pillars to co-create from, our building blocks, our Lego pieces. And so we're going to create these personalized pathways, guest by guest. The technology's there to enable us to do that. We'll have 40 plus group activities every day, right? So 9 o'clock, 10, 10:30, etc. We have 20 spa treatment rooms. Then we'll have 15 indoor-outdoor consult spaces. Some people want, okay, they'll go do there'll be an education seminar on precision nutrition, and then they'll have engaged in a test, and they'll want to go have a one-on-one with a practitioner to assess, how can I now adjust my diet plan to meet the fact that I have mold in my body, or I don't have enough testosterone, or whatever it might be. So we'll have places for indoor outdoor consult spaces. And so at the core is something we call breakthrough. And so this is getting out of your ego, getting out of your head, and accessing the subconscious. There's a lot of excitement about psychedelics and the use of plants to do this. And as things legalize, obviously it's probably the most important thing that's happened in mental health treatment, certainly since I've been alive. And so that will be available in a curated, legal, very appropriate way. But there's also things like body work and breath work, somatic experiencing, holotropic breath work, which is sort of referred to that, sound therapy, and even dreams. We're going to have dream analysis. People say, "Oh, I don't remember my dreams." Actually, it's available to all of us. Our dreams are the way that nature communicates with us, and it's as valuable as anything I've come across is how to remember, interpret, and then interact with your dreams. I mean, amazing guidance from dreams, stunning. So then, outside of the breakthrough experiential work that would typically happen in the middle of a trip, we have these other layers: nourishing, embodying, so that's yoga and dance and hydrotherapy and beauty; sweating, that's a physical activity, and there's a new age of technologies coming out in gyms that people are probably familiar with. Rewilding, so that's getting out into nature to recover our personal power and learn about regenerative farming and fishing and survival skills, and just some good old-fashioned fun stuff out in nature. We'll have fly fishing, for example, hiking, biking, all kinds of things. How to breathe properly, right? So meditation and forest bathing, and sleep is going to be a big focus for us. And then we have things like how to connect, right? And workshops on connection and creating community. Creating, that's when you're closest to one's spiritual self, is through the process of creating and cultivating that skill. How to have fun. Arthur, we are not laughing enough. We're not playing enough as a species. I had to relearn how to be relaxed and have fun. I mean, it was,
well, we've talked about this. I've been the beneficiary of participating in, not in a very organized way of, as you were proposing that we do it here, but in a variety of things. And it is empowering and changes your life. And it just uh, not only makes you a better person for yourself, but everybody else around you. It's pretty amazing transformational experience. And I can go on forever about that, but I'm not going to. So,
well, I'll just say that the key essence of what we're talking about, the key essence is there's an aspect of education and awareness that's consciously understood, but it's 90% experiential. So even when we're engaging in things that we might do at home, we're doing it in a way with a facilitation that it's about bringing out the real world issues and getting us to commune together. Like, for example, we have a guy that's down the road from us that will have his own area that carves your face out of a block of wood with a chainsaw in 20 minutes. So you can imagine a group will be going into a secluded part of the woods. There might be a curated glass of wine or bourbon there from Virginia. It's got some good local stuff and some desserts. And then everyone gets their face carved. Then you take a blowtorch and you dissolve your ego. Literally, you do that with a blowtorch isn't the right word. It's a fire. Forgetting the right word, but you take fire, like a fire thing, and you blacken your face. So anyway, that's just one example. Let me jump into the just wrapping up here. The status and the timeline. So we've got, I mentioned $19 million from the founders. The site's cleared. We've started forest restoration. We've got wells drilled. We started a prototype room, and we've got the documents are at the stage where there's 75% construction documents are done. So we got a GMP from that. Over 500 subs participated with our amazing construction partner, which is Whiting Turner, the #3 player in the country for these types of projects, construction managers at risk, and they guarantee a maximum price. They've been with us for 3 years, and I can't say enough good things about them. They're 20 minutes from where I live. We've got all of our entitlements, all of our permitting. We have building permits, earth moving permits, everything's done. We got an appraisal over $200 million from a bank's third party. And I want to mention this. I should have a whole slide on it, but I didn't think of that time. We've created a fiscal sponsor program that allows us, for folks that want to put their money in, but don't want to get a financial return, but want to see that return come in the form of services, right? So you put in $5 million and we give you a scholarship money that would allow you to have 1,000 guest nights per year, every year. So like you have an endowment at a university that gives you typically a 5% return that you use to pay for professors and research budget. We're going to provide a 10% return, and it will be in the form of services on an annual basis that might be targeting something that a high net worth family or institution is really focused on for their philanthropy, whether it's veterans or first responders, or, we're talking to one group really doing it for doctors and nurses. The #1 group of suicides in the country is the medical profession, believe it or not. So they can come and get CME credits and PowerPoints, for a part of the day, advance their education in a progressive manner, integrative medical education, and then also do some work on themselves. I think it's like a grand slam. So would love to, what's that?
Great idea.
Yeah. Would love to talk to folks about that. We would like to start construction this summer and then open in the summer of 2026. And so
is it fair to say, Mike and Alex, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, that the founding partners are essentially the lead investors?
Yes. Yeah. The founding partners make up that $19 million. And of that, 10 is from Ron, 5 is from me, and then spread out across lots of different groups. Adam's firm is the third largest.
That's right.
Yeah. So we have this ecosystem of just beautiful people, and in a sense, we'd love to continue to do that. but we just have to have the check sizes larger now because it's a $40 million raise. So let me, before I get the numbers, and we're
Yeah, go
almost
ahead.
wrapping up.
Yep.
This is the brand and management platform. So you can imagine if you were to invest in the first Four Seasons, there's the real estate component of it, and then there's the management company, the brand company. So Marriott, Hilton, Four Seasons, they all own the management. They don't own that many actual hotels. So what we've done for this is we've said, look, invest in the real estate, and we're going to give you a pro rata share in the management companies. So as we look to do this in other places, you would get an ongoing revenue stream from that. There's license agreements, there's app monetization, there's management fees, et cetera. And Adam, why don't you just, if you have any comments beyond what you said before about PM?
All I can say is this, Mike, you said that we're the third largest investor. Our conviction, this is the largest investment PM's ever made in a project, which shows our conviction, right? Our corporate office is whatever it is, 60 miles from this site. All the executives, Dave Poland, Joseph Bojanowski, we've all been to I've been to the site, 3-4 times. Been in this business for 25 plus years, and this is the most exciting project I've been part of. So I think that kind of speaks for it, because not only are we kind of giving an enormous amount of sweat equity, but we're giving real equity too, which is very different from what most management companies do.
Yes, for sure. And I am very grateful for your team, because you guys are put in a lot of time early, much earlier. And we talked to 12 other groups. We looked at all the major brands. We had an agreement with one of the largest brands in the world for this space, and decided that was not our. One thing, Arthur, that's a reality for this: in 10 years, the wellness space will be very different than it is today.
No doubt.
There's a lot of change going on. And so we figured that we wanted to control our destiny. And that's why we decided to develop our own brand. There's no ego, right? It was when we looked at the existing brands and how they are limiting themselves, and the lack of innovation from them, over the last 30 years. So that's how we got there. And then we have a great set of board members. We'll send this presentation out. You can look at their bio, but they come from the top firms, and they're in it for the right reasons and have just been great advisors and partners. So here's the capital stack, right? So I spent 15 years managing money, and I'm a financial guy, right? I was an engineer in college, numbers, so we've got the vision and we've got the belief in it, and being an innovator, but it all has to be grounded in the numbers. We really believe in capitalism as a source for change. So on the left side, you can see the uses and our soft costs as a percent. If you are in this industry, you'll see that extraordinarily low as a percent of the whole deal. And on the right side, you can see the sources. So we'll have about $110 million of debt. We'll have the sponsor and founding partners equities 19, and then we're raising $42 million. We have at the bottom right, you'll see TDFP, which is we have a subsidy with the Virginia State and local municipality, Shenandoah County, to give us a rebate on our taxes each year for up to $15 million. So that's a huge part of the value, and just is an indication of how much the local region wants us to be successful. Okay, so on the left side, there's just a snapshot of our pro forma. You can see that we'll have a net cash flow that gets up to $18 million once it's stabilized. The occupancy numbers here are projected at 66%. So what that means is a third of the rooms will be empty. That's where we come to, okay, we've got 30,000 guest nights a year that aren't being used. Why don't we try to do that with the endowments and benefit at-risk populations? And the question is, can you do that in a way that's neutral to your returns, but adds to the halo of the brand and gives you more stability in terms of your staff? And the answer is 100% yes. And it's in our core, and we're going to do it on day one. It's not an afterthought. It's not dressing. And so then on the right side, you can see that we have the returns after construction and 5 years of operations, a 22.6% project IRR, which is, sort of right in the threshold of what you need for this type of hospitality project. I'll note that that excludes any benefit from that brand management company. So if there's 3 or 8 more sites that get opened, that brand management company becomes worth more than this initial investment.
Yeah.
So we're super excited about that. For the wrap up, I put in just all the different boom, 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 right? So if you wanted one page summary to pass it along to someone, that's what it is. At the end of the day, we're looking for people that like to be catalysts for change and that see, that our problems, this is a great benefit, but as it gets embedded and implanted and we become sort of an analog digital mind, we're only going to be more ratcheted up, and it's going to have great benefits, but it's also going to continue this, some of the mental health challenges, and we need places to go and break away. So we're really excited about aligning with folks who believe in the broader purpose, see the massive supply demand gap in the mid-Atlantic where there's no competition, and the fact that this is one of the most stressed out markets. It's also one of the wealthiest and most educated markets in the country. So that's I think I got in on time. So
No, you did totally. If one were to say, okay, I'm going to write a $43 million check, or let's just call it 40. What's the attribution to that in terms of percentage of valuation?
yeah, so that
it?
would be just ballpark. That would be 40 out of 60, right? So that'd be 65%, 66%. And then they would also own the JV is the pro rata share of that would be 10% less. So that would be 58%.
Yeah.
Of the.
Great. So back to the in-kind thing. Here's a question: are you saying that the 5 million investment can get you 1,000 nights?
I'm 1,000 guest nights. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Gift 1,000 nights, something like that. Yeah.
Per year.
It's not far off, right?
Right. It's not far off. It depends on the type of scholarship program we enable. So if we let's say it's being offered to nurses, and so nurses, they make some money, and so you might not give them 100% off. Whereas let's say we do it for firemen, then for firemen we might say, hey, let's give them 80% off. And so it depends on exactly how we design the scholarship program, and that's where we're looking for folks to come to us and say, here's the amount of capital, and then here's who I'd like to target. We would find partners for that and figure out the best financial plan. But it will work out to be 10% of that investment annually. And so and because we can leverage times of the year where we're not filled up anyway, they can be very low cost, very high value. So my goal for that is to try and get as many people benefiting as possible, right?
Yep, makes sense. And you're not giving away premium nights, right?
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're planning to do with the trip down there. Just talk about itinerary, what it looks like, coming down to visit with a handful of folks.
Yeah, so we have, depending on the exact dates, our first choice, I have an option to stay at what's called a Lost Whiskey Club. One of our partners owns a local whiskey bourbon place in Virginia that just won the top bourbon of the state. And that's about a half hour, 40 minutes from the site. And so we would have a combination of visiting and touring the site. And then I would expose, hey, let's have, if it's one night or if it's 2 nights, let's wrap around that some experiences that would be equivalent to what one would experience at the location. So let's there'd be a little bit of, interaction on what interests are and what the group that we would assemble would like to accomplish. But we have over 150 people have submitted applications. We have all kinds of practitioners, and we can, we can do a little fishing. We can get some massages. We can do some breath work and some yoga. I mean, it depends on who it is. We'll have some very good farm to table food. I'd love to introduce to some of our Native American partners that have been amazing partners. So as we will at this project, we will co-create something that fits what this small group wants to do.
Yeah, super. I've gotten lots of people contacting me about this since we've started introducing it to the community, and a handful of practitioners have asked me if they could get involved, and I said, yeah, just bring a check, because I'm not saying that I made that decision. I'm just saying, come on, let's put some skin in the game here, so to speak. At this point, we have a bunch of people, Mike, that have asked for the PPM and the docs, so we'll circle back with them. Larry, if you can hear me, you put your hand up. We can't turn you on, but if you want to ask a question, put it in the chat box of the Q&A. We're not doing the voice things here. So that was super helpful. In fact, there was a bunch of stuff that I hadn't seen before, so thanks for that. Yeah. All right, so maybe this is Q question here. Will there be real estate for sale?
Yeah, so we'll start off with 10 villas, and those are on the edges of the property that are on the other side. I showed the northern 275, but we have, whatever the math is, 375 on the other side, and they'll be around the edges of that, some of them on the mountain overlooking. And then we'll use a similar type of program that they use at some of these other places, where you might stay there 1 to 2 months a year, and then it gets put into the rental pools to offset your annual costs. And it would serve, CEOs and entertainers and things like that who want to have a higher end experience. But what we're not doing is we're not saying, hey, let's put in 100 houses and ruin this whole natural environment. I mean, that's been the model now for resorts, is they put in a shit ton of houses.
Pre-sales fund the equity.
Right, exactly. But it also, it just doesn't fit with what we're trying to do. We're trying to be a place that people go for real transformation. And so there's an essence, and it needs to be in a natural environment, So, well, we'll follow up with you, Ed. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been super helpful. Thanks again, Adam and Alex, for making the time and sort of navigating our changes of dates and so forth, but super appreciate it. Let's see if this is something else here.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw this question about autism, and one of our leaders that we have a passion for autism, and so exactly what that looks like today, we don't know, but that's something that's going to be top of mind. The number of kids diagnosed as being on the spectrum right now is 1 in 34. It used to be 1 in 10,000 in 60 years ago. Now you can argue that we detected a little bit more than we used to. However, if you say we detected 10 times more than we used to, it's still 30 times worse. So this is a problem of our own creation, and there's lots of great situations that you can do things that have a real big impact on both the child and the parents' lives. So that's a great example of a rite of passage that we'll create with children for the carve-outs that we have where kids are allowed. Generally, it's adults only, but then also specifically for parents with autism. And just having them talk to each other, create community. We just think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Great opportunity.
And Mike, Ed, I appreciate what you're saying there. Obviously, I have an autistic son, and appreciate that you recognize the need that parents do need a break.
Need a break.
Need some mental health. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Yeah, my son's on the spectrum and he's an adult. And I still need a break. Yeah. Let's see, we got one more. Will the founders have benefits, discounts for their timely investment? Well, that sounds like a good question. Hurry
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
Check.
yeah, I think there's some standard rules of thumb, and we haven't finalized that because it sort of depends, on what the ecosystem looks like, and is it a bunch of smaller or larger. But yes, it not only in terms of the ability to stay and access to premium rooms and advance notice and discounts, but also the ability to drive our focus and agenda for the first few years, right? So we just talked about autism, and there's sexual abuse is another one that some of our founding partners, including myself, have some affinity towards helping out and being part of a solution there. So
Far more prevalent than people like to admit because it's so painful and requires deep healing. Yeah. So
yeah, 100%. Lasts with you for your whole life,
Yeah. So super well done, Mike. Thank you. We'll make sure we get everybody followed up on here. And again, Adam, Alex, thank you for carving out some time with us today. Super helpful. I'll make sure that we tighten things up. We'll see who wants to come down for a visit and get that all scheduled and arranged, and follow up with the people that wanted the documents. So, and again, folks, thank you for being with us today and giving us your attention. And also, if there's anybody in your world that might benefit from potentially being part of this, please let us know directly. And thank you for spending with us. The only thing you can't make more of, and that's your time. Thank you, Mike. And
Thanks, guys.
We'll call you up.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.